Hi! Mike is still feeling under the weather, so today is my first solo video. I'm also gonna try editing on my own, so please be kind, but let me know what you think. Today, I wanted to talk about that I don't know what I'm talking about. If you haven't figured out by now, Mike is definitely the brains behind this financial operation. He's the one who at 17 started reading personal finance books and blogs. And at one point after we got married, I even had to ask him where our money was in case something were to happen to him. I have always counted myself very lucky for having such a smart husband, but have often felt guilty that I didn't know more about what was going on. I was even hesitant to include finances in our YouTube channel when Mike first suggested it because I didn't know what I had to offer. But once we were on that track, I made it a point to better understand what we were talking about. It wasn't that I didn't care, it was that I never took the time to understand. This brings up the question though, is it healthy in a marriage for just one spouse to handle the finances? Mike and I actually started asking people we knew whether or not the husband or wife took care of the finances. And we learned that the vast majority of our friends had moms who were the ones in charge of finances. But this was contradictory to our YouTube channel analytics, which showed 76% of our viewers being male and only 24% being female. It wasn't until we went to FinCon that it hit us. Women tend to coupon and budget, and men focus on the investing and planning. We found that in households where men handle the finances that they tend to look at the future, where women would tend to look at the present. Side note though, these are just my observations, nothing scientific here, so please let me know if your findings have been similar. But is it a good idea to put the financial stress on just one person? Is there even any stress? In our case, Mike loves personal finance, so does that mean that I put him out by not being involved? When there's a financial nerd in the family, doesn't it just make more sense to let them run with the finances? I think so. Mike is smart and he knows what he's doing, so why wouldn't I just let him run with it? Now what if something happened to the spouse who was in charge? Would the other person know how to pay the bills or where an emergency fund was located? Mike made me a cheat sheet, but would that be good enough? I think with all the information that I've pieced together, I would be okay. But I do think it's important for both spouses to be involved. Like we talked about in our joint versus separate finances live show, the important thing is that you have frequent conversations about finances so that you're both on the same page. Let's talk about some discussion topics, because if you're the one in charge, your spouse might be too ashamed to bring anything up. And if you're the free spirit of the family, you might not even know what to ask. My first question would be, how much do we save a month? You might be surprised to know that before we started this YouTube channel, I didn't even know we were saving over 50% of our income. I would also ask if we're in debt. I knew in our case that Mike hated debt, but if you're like most families, it could be a mystery. Do we have an emergency fund? I knew what an emergency fund was, but knowing that we had one made me feel so much more secure in our jobs and our finances. Where are our bank accounts? This is the cheat sheet I was talking about earlier, because it would probably be helpful for both people to have this down on paper. And then there are other more in-depth questions you could ask, like what is our retirement plan? Do we have health insurance, life insurance, and what about wills? Asking these questions has helped me to understand why we spend and save our money the way we do. And I think it's important for both people in a relationship to know. What I don't know how to answer is what happens when neither person is in control of the finances. How do you decide who takes the lead? Do you split the responsibility 50-50, or do you just fall into the roles that your parents had? I think the person who first showed interest in taking over the finances should be the one to take the lead. But what do you think? As always, thanks for watching.